Did the Confederate Constitution explicitly guarantee a state's right to secede? Have you ever wondered about the legal framework that governed the Confederate States during the American Civil War? One question that often comes up is whether the Confederate Constitution explicitly guaranteed a state's right to secede. Let's break this down together. The Confederate Constitution was largely modeled after the United States Constitution but included modifications to address Southern concerns, especially regarding states' rights and slavery. However, it did not contain a clear and direct guarantee for a state's right to secede. The preamble of the Confederate Constitution emphasizes that each state joined the Confederacy, acting in its sovereignty and independent character. This suggests that states retained some independence. However, it also states the purpose of forming a permanent federal government, which implies a lasting union. This creates a bit of tension regarding the idea of secession. Interestingly, the Constitution does include a process for withdrawal. If a state wanted to leave the Confederacy, it had to call a convention of its citizens to explain the reasons for withdrawal. If Congress could not resolve the issues, it was required to arrange an equitable division of the public property and a peaceable withdrawal. This indicates that while the Constitution acknowledged the possibility of a state leaving, it framed it as a formal process rather than an absolute right. The context of secession is also important. The Confederate States formed their government after seceding from the United States, believing that states had the right to leave the Union. The original secession declarations, like South Carolina's, explicitly stated the right to resume sovereignty and independence. However, the Confederate Constitution aimed to create a new, permanent government rather than provide a legal framework for further secession. In summary, while the Confederate Constitution recognized the sovereignty of member states and included procedures for a state to withdraw, it did not explicitly guarantee an unconditional right to secede. The document balanced the independence of states with the goal of forming a lasting federal government, reflecting the complex political realities of the Confederate States during the American Civil War.